It's a matchup between 3 of the last 4 national players of the year. Like, what else do you want?
A legendary matchup. Iowa and UConn prepare for the Final Four.
Despite the weather, protests persist in Iowa City. Awards are in season and Iowa professor was given a special title.
The Bugs are back. I'll have more about the Buzz this spring.
All of that and more
Coming up right now on DITV.
Good morning from Iowa City. Today is Friday, April 5th. I'm Ashley Wheel.
And I'm Johnny Valtman.
And the third member of our team, DITV's Joel Keller, is live outside to tell us today's weather story.
And Joel, the weather, it's been crazy this last couple of weeks. Is there any sign that things are going to calm down?
Not exactly, Johnny. Today and tomorrow will finally be dry, but the spring showers make their return after the weekend, so we will have to wait a little longer to see the sun. It will be partly cloudy today with a high of 52 and a low tonight of 32. Much of the same tomorrow with partly cloudy skies, a high of 56 and a low of 41. The wait for sunny days continues as I send it back to you in the studio.
Only 4 remain, and if Iowa wants to make it back to the national championship, they have to play a stellar UConn team. In Cleveland, DITV Sports Director Michael Merrick prepares us for the Hawks' Final Four matchup.
It's the game that many are labeling the greatest dynasty of all time versus the greatest player of all time. The Final Four matchup between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the UConn Huskies features 2 great teams, 2 legendary coaches, and 2 players that have changed the sport forever.
Caitlin Clark has brought eyeballs, has brought viewers to the game like no player ever has. And
This is going to be such an incredible game, and it's such a great display of the future as well. Like, it's a matchup between 3 of the last 4 national players of the year. Like, what else do you want?
And this isn't the first time Caitlin and Paige will share the court together, as they faced off in the Sweet 16 their freshman year and have had their legacies connected since they were back in middle school.
Paige is somebody that I've known since middle school, obviously both growing up in the Midwest. I think the biggest thing about her, like I talked about over there, is like I just really admire the way she's gone about her business over the course of the last few years. Obviously, she's been dealt a tough hand, and she's just so resilient, and the way she's been able to come back and lead this team back to a Final Four is something I really admire.
I remember we'd always have matchups in AAU, and then I remember playing on Team USA together. I think that our first year together on Team USA was going in our freshman year. So we've known each other for a very long time. We've been competing against and with each other for a very long time. She's the best scorer college basketball has ever seen. But I think she's so much more than a scorer. Like I said, I think the best thing about her is her competitive spirit and her fire, her passion, her joy for the game.
And it's estimated that this Final Four duel could draw even more viewers than the Elite 8 matchup between Iowa and LSU, meaning that tomorrow's game could not only be the most watched women's basketball game of all time, but one of the most watched basketball games ever. So if you're not tuning in on Friday, you'll be missing out on history. From the Final Four in Cleveland, Ohio, Michael Merrick, DITV Sports.
Demonstrators met in Iowa City for what they called Trans Day of Revenge on Wednesday. DITV's Jordan Tovar has coverage from the event and the public's reactions.
People gathered on the Pentacrest on Wednesday night for, quote, Trans Day of Revenge, where attendees dressed in all black with masks to conceal their identities. Without much talk of the event, it left some passerbys confused.
I will say when I walked out here, I didn't know what it was, and based on their outfits, I mean, they're wearing all black. I thought it was an Antifa rally.
I came out of the exam, so I had no idea that this was going to transpire.
Around 8 p.m., after a group had gathered, attendees began their march towards downtown Iowa City for their demonstrations against local and state officials. But first, they stopped at Iowa City City Hall.
We expect better from our city employees and our elected officials when it comes to defending trans people.
Gathered at City Hall, demonstrators prepared to and then burned the state flag of Iowa in opposition to legislation involving the rights of trans people, and then continued on to their next destination.
They think that they're exercising their First Amendment rights to speak out against people who are endangering the trans community, not supporting the trans community, and are giving a bad name to us without actually listening to our voices.
As those gathered returned, they continued their hope for the rights of trans people in Iowa for the future. From the Pentacrest, Jordan Tovar, DITV.
A hawk alert was sent out to the University of Iowa community yesterday. We now have DITV's Claire Green live outside Van Allen Hall with more details on the situation.
Yeah, Ashley, I'm outside of Van Allen where there were knife threats yesterday morning. Thankfully, there were no injuries reported. The suspect was last wearing a black hoodie and jeans. The police are still investigating, but wants everyone to stay vigilant and report any suspicious activity to the number on the screen. Back to you, Ashley.
Thanks, Claire. And a stretch of Dubuque Street is undergoing a reconstruction project to update city infrastructure. DITV's Brady Barron talked with downtown leadership on how to navigate the area.
The construction on Dubuque Street has been going on since March 11th, and since then, the downtown district has put together plenty of resources to help keep businesses downtown up and running. The downtown district has made it a point to lead residents toward those Dubuque Street businesses.
We helped place some directional signage on all the construction fencing, so as you're walking down, you can kind of see which is the easiest way to get to Whitchwich or get to Pullman.
There are also QR codes that lead to a new AI experience.
So you can directly ask, how long is the construction happening? Why is the construction happening? And what the street will look like. And it'll give real-time answers to those users.
One key organization the downtown district partnered with is Chomp, the local food delivery service.
We knew they were going to be in a hard way. We're just trying to do whatever we can to help.
Chomp's promo code, Support Dubuque Street, provides free delivery from all of Dubuque Street's restaurants. Chomp is also working with businesses to make sure food is getting delivered as quickly and safely as possible.
We got alternative routes for our drivers to sometimes be taking deliveries out the back door of the restaurant if it's easier, because if they can't drive on it, that can get really, really difficult.
The downtown district hopes that these programs will keep customers coming to these locations through construction. From Dubuque Street, Brady Barron, DITV.
A resource for student is leaving campus. We have DITV's Sarah Adams live at the RVIP house on the River Street to tell us about these changes.
Thanks, Johnny. The Rape Victim Advocacy Program, or RVAP, is transitioning to the Domestic Violence Intervention Program known as DVIP. Staff members of RVAP were not alerted about the transition. RVAP helps provide resources and programs to victims of rape, while DVIP focuses their services on victims of domestic violence. UI leaders say this will improve coordination and streamline services that assist with care for survivors. The programs will be transitioned by September 30th. Currently, both organizations service 8 counties in the state. However, leaders of the University of Iowa say a majority of clients are not affiliated with Iowa, which influenced the decision. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Sarah. And special honors, we have DITV's Grace Lathrop on how a professor in the university's translation department is making a difference here on campus.
These books tell important stories, and faculty like Professor Aji have made it their life's work to make sure that everyone, no matter what language they speak, can read and enjoy them. Professor Aron Aji, one of the university's most distinguished translation professors, has been given the title of being a National Book Award judge.
National Book Awards have been given since 1950, and it's one of the oldest book awards in the country. It's a very, very prestigious translation prize.
Professor Aji teaches highly regarded workshop classes at Phillips Hall and has been translating for over 30 years.
Under his leadership, Iowa has pretty much universally recognized the best translation program in the country. The reason that he's being asked to judge something like the National Book Award is partly because of the program that he's built here and because of the reputation that it's established.
Professor Aji's classes have produced remarkable alumni and highly successful students post-graduation.
I went on to translate a bunch of books, and I also wrote a novel. So many of my classmates are doing incredible things and have published all these books.
Professor Aji's hard work has paid off, and the university is more than proud of his recent accomplishments. From the main library, this is Grace Lathrop, DITV.
And coming up later, a Chicago classic is celebrated.
But first, we're going to take a look back outside with Joel Keller to see the rest of the forecast for the week ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Coming soon, our ears will be blessed by that sweet cicada chirp that many correlate with summer nights. Only this year, it will be double. By the end of this month, 2 cicada broods will emerge at the same time. The last time this happened was 221 years ago in 1803. This week will be in the low to mid 60s all week, but also mostly cloudy. The spring showers make their comeback on Sunday with showers throughout the day, but nothing too severe. We are finally getting warm weather consistently, which will be a nice change from this past week. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Joel. And same as it ever was for the Iowa Hawkeye women's team, as Caitlin Clark continues to win more awards. Yesterday, she was announced as the 2024 AP Women's Player of the Year for the 2nd straight season. She's just the 2nd Hawkeye and Big Ten student athlete to go back-to-back since the award was established back in 1995. Clark was also the recipient of the Naismith Player of the Year Award, the Wade Trophy, and the Honda Award honor. Also, all of those for a 2nd straight year. Now, all that's left for Clark to win is a national championship. And if you need somewhere to watch the Hawkeyes take on the Huskies, Carver Hawkeye Arena is hosting a Final Four watch party. Doors will open at 7 p.m. and free admission for all. Concessions and beverages will be available along with special in-game entertainment. The game will tip off at 8:30 as Caitlin Clark and the Hawkeyes look to book another trip back to the national championship game. And changes are on the way. The NCAA has been under scrutiny for years, but change is on the horizon. We have DITV's AJ Reister live in the newsroom. AJ, what is going on with the regulators of college sports?
Well, Johnny, like you said, they've been under a lot of scrutiny for the past few years, but this last year specifically, they've been receiving a lot of heat from Iowa.
There's no structure, no framework. I don't know if it is sustainable.
But we do think there's going to have to be an evaluation of how these rules are applied from an NCAA level.
Why was University of Iowa and Iowa State targeted only? No one has asked that question.
There have been a lot of angry coaches, players, and fans over the last year in Iowa City about how the NCAA is run. However, a new association is emerging as a possible change.
College Sports Tomorrow was revisited, which is basically the vision of a super league.
College Sports Tomorrow is a group of influential leaders in sports that are proposing a new system for college football. The system would have the top 70 programs in the country in 7 10-team divisions and an 8th division that the 50-plus other schools battle to be a part of and try to avoid regulation similar to the Premier League. However, there are many questions surrounding current TV deals for each conference.
If you're going to try to X out Greg Sankey, Tony Petitti, and then the 2 major television partners for both those networks, to then go back and get more lucrative television deals for the schools, it just doesn't seem to add up.
Only time will tell, but the future of college sports is near, and what we know now may not even exist tomorrow. Live from the Daily Iowa Newsroom, AJ Reister, DITV.
Thanks, AJ. And defending their rivalry, the Hawkeye baseball team will host the Michigan Wolverines at home this weekend. This is the first rematch for the teams after Iowa knocked Michigan out of the Big Ten tournament last year with a 5-0 win. The Hawks have been on fire recently, winning 8 of their last 10 games. Both teams are 4-2 in the Big Ten competition. Game 1 will take place at 2 p.m. today and a doubleheader on Saturday, starting at 1:05 p.m. And on the road, the Iowa softball team will head to Purdue to begin their first road conference game. Iowa has opened Big Ten play with a 4-2 record, having them tied for 5th in the Big Ten. Purdue is sitting 10th in the conference, but is coming off of a series win against Rutgers. The teams square off today at 4 o'clock and tomorrow at 1, and then Sunday again at noon. And today is also National Deep Dish Pizza Day. The nationwide hit is known for its inches deep crust that is filled with extra sauce and gooey cheese. Thank you so much for tuning in to DITV News and listening on KRUI 89.7 FM.
We are here live from Iowa City every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 a.m. and online anytime at dailyiowan.com.
For Joel Keller and Johnny Veltman, I'm Ashley Wheel. See you again on Monday, right here on DITV.